Today's my first lower body day training session of the week, and I always love to start with the squat. The squat is the king of all compound movements. This is actually how I start the week. I'll start with a lower body training session day, then upper, and then lower, upper. The reason I start with lower body training as my first training session of the week is because it utilizes the most energy, especially the squat. I start with the hardest exercise first, which is a squat in my opinion, and then the rest of the exercises will follow. I'm following the same protocol for my compounds. So 60%, 5 reps, 75 to 80%, 3 reps, and then 90%, 1 rep. And then that's when I'll start get into my working set. I'll give myself 3 minutes to recover a little bit from the warm up, and then hit my first working set. And then after my first working set, 3 minutes of rest again, hit my final set, go on from there. You're firing all your muscles, all the way from your calves up to your trap, even your neck. You know, having all that weight on you. You see, your body works as a system, and it should be trained as such. I used to train like a bro split. For those of you that don't know what a bro split is, it's basically Monday chest, Tuesday back, Wednesday legs, Thursday shoulders, Friday arms, something along the line of that, where you're breaking up each muscle group and each day has its own muscles being worked. And if you enjoy that style of training, by all means, whatever you enjoy, that's fine. But for me, especially being a natural, I found that 4 days a week, train your body as a system, is more effective. You're utilizing every muscle group in your body. And that's not to say that when you're training, like say chest on one day, back on the next day, like a bro split, it doesn't mean you're not training every other muscle group as well, because there is some carryover when you're training that way as well. That's why I'm not going to completely knock on it, because I think any style of training is great, honestly. I love every style of training. But as far as what I implement, what I found works specifically for me is 4 days a week, lower upper split, focusing on compound movements, focusing on strength training, getting the heaviest stuff or heaviest working set first, and then tapering it down. All right, 75 to 80% of my weight, 3 reps. When you're lifting the weight, you want to pinch your traps together. So your shoulder blades, instead of being relaxed, you want to bring them back and in. So I like to picture like a pencil or a pen between my back where my spine is, and it's like I'm holding that pencil in place. What that does is it activates your traps and it helps you better stabilize the bar. Aside from that, if you guys notice, as the weight gets heavier, and even when I'm warming up, it's like you can see my back kind of lift up, and then I kind of shrink down into it what I'm doing is I'm taking a big deep breath in and I'm putting pressure on my diaphragm. So instead of being loose, you're tightening up your abdominal wall, and it's going to help you push the weight. And it's also protecting your spine as well as your core and your whole body by doing that. So don't go into this kind of exercise, especially the squat, but that goes for any compound, but especially the squat because it's on top of you. You want to brace your midsection. You want to make sure everything is protected. So you come up, take a deep breath, and you shrink into it, and you stay tight and locked. What I like to picture when I do that, it's like someone's going to punch me or throw a football at like 100 miles an hour to my stomach. That way I'm more mindful of keeping this area tight. When you're unracking the weight from your squat, don't utilize so much energy stepping back and trying to set up. If anything, before you even start putting weight on the bar, you should already know how you like your stance or have a pretty good idea of how you like your stance. How wide you like your feet apart, if you like your toes pointing out or inward. That way, when it is weighted and you step out, you're taking one step out or one step to the right, depending on how you like your setup, and you're already set in position instead of taking 2-3 steps back, trying to find your way, and then setting up your feet. Like you're gonna waste more energy just trying to do that. Like even those little steps that you're taking, it's giving you more fatigue, even if you don't realize it. So once you find your position under the bar, take the step out, kind of picture in your mind where you're stepping, align yourself, get into your position that you're comfortable with, and then get ready to drop the weight or do your rep, especially when you're doing a heavy compound lift. You already want to be familiar where you're going to be set instead of having to figure it out along the way. All right, last warm-up set. So how do you know if you're going heavy enough? How do you know if you're going intense? I'll tell you. I'll tell you how I look at it. As you're loading the weight and as you're preparing yourself to lift the weight, it should make you nervous. It should intimidate you a little bit. And you should start thinking in your mind and planning every step before you lift that weight. That's how you know you're going hard enough. It should scare you. It should intimidate you. A lot of people run from that, or they don't want to face that feeling, but that's what's going to help you grow. And that's what's going to help you fight that weight from being on top of you and literally crushing you. Like when I'm preparing right now, I could feel my heart in my throat just throbbing. I could feel it right here. I could feel it right now. And it gets me a little nervous, but I like it. And you gotta learn how to control it and use it to your advantage. And don't run from it. One more. Oh, I've seen stars, man. Whew. That last rep, mentally, I had to get through that one. mentally I have to get through that one. I don't know. I was kind of iffy. I was kind of iffy if I was going to be able to bring it all the way up. But I had to tell myself it's going to come up because there was no other way. You have to trust yourself. You have to believe in yourself when you're doing that. The weight and how your body feels is going to tell you one thing. And that obstacle, you have to, it's like this fine line where you have to know, okay, for safety reasons, I'm going to rack it because I know I probably won't get it up. But the other side of you, the other side of the coin, you have to trust and believe that you can do it. And that's the threshold that I crossed right now. As I was preparing to sink down and commit to that fourth rep, I don't know, I was kind of halfway, to be honest. And you could see it in the rep, right when I got past the threshold. And I was just stuck in that zone. But I did it. So the next time I face that kind of thing, that kind of situation, I know the feeling of familiarity, the feeling of familiarity with that certain situation. Oh no, I can do it. I can handle it. And like I mentioned before, that's why I love the gym so much, because it really translates to every area of your life. If you come across a hard situation in your life, it's the same mentality. And it's that fight or flight. You know, when you come across something scary, something intimidating, something fearful, that's when you will be challenged. It's moments like that. And you have to know within yourself if you're capable or not. And that fight or flight will tell you, hey, am I going to fight it or am I going to flight away from it? So the heaviest set is finished. I'm just going to taper it down now. Also, one thing to mention too, you guys have the belt on and the abdominal pressure that I mentioned earlier, like bracing yourself. When you have the belt on, you're bracing against that belt. So you're pushing your abdominal wall almost like punching against it as it's on you. So just something to consider.